everybody, welcome back to Blind Dave's Kitchen. Those of you that don't know, I'm Blind Dave. Today we're talking about baked beans, so stick around. I know what you're saying, there's old Blind Dave playing with his beans again. You're right. Today we're making good old baked beans. Important, real important in the beginning. Sort and soak your beans. You want to sort your beans out because you want to make sure that there's nothing in there that's not a bean, like a little rock or a piece of trash from the field or whatever. Because me being a blind guy, this is how I get to do it. I gotta feel almost every bean, make sure they're in good shape. Luckily for you guys, I already did that already. We got a few here. In my pot here, I already have a pound of beans that have been soaking for 24 hours. I'll just set these over here out of the way. Pretty good pot. Okay. Like I said, in this pot, we have a pound of State of Maine yellow eye beans. I prefer yellow eye beans. Use whatever kind of bean you like. It's up to you. I find a yellow eye cooks good, but it doesn't turn to mush. It stays a little firm. On the bottom, I've lined this with a little bit of salt pork. About 4 good pieces. You want to do that? I do that. Notice the shape of this bean pot. This is just a traditional bean pot. And I've watched a few YouTube videos or listened to a few YouTube videos, and I've yet to find anybody that uses a good traditional bean pot. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't found them yet. I like to use this bean pot for the shape of it. You look, see how it's wider at the top and narrow at the bottom? As you're cooking, because we all understand that heat rises, and water, when it's heated, will rise also. So that will come up the middle of your bean pot. That water will rise and it'll work around the outside and come back down and keep working in a circle all the way around. So we're gonna have salt pork on the bottom, salt pork on the top with all that stuff in the middle. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's true or not. I just kind of made that up. But sounds good, don't it? So anyway, like I said, we got beans in here that have soaked overnight. Salt pork's in there. Right here we've got 2 small onions, about 2 cups worth. I like a lot of onion in my baked bean. Some don't. You can use less if you'd like. That in there. Work him down so we can get everything in. Excuse me. I've mentioned in the past that I don't really use a lot of measured ingredients when I cook. And this is one of the things that I do, use measured ingredients. In here is a 1/2 cup of molasses and a 1/2 cup of maple syrup. Let him drain in there a minute. I mentioned the State of Maine yellow eye bean. State of Maine is the brand of them. It's what I've always used, and I'm always whenever there's a reunion or anything get together, I usually get invited just so I can make baked beans. Not just kidding, but I always get asked to make baked beans, so I'll show you how I do it, and you can take it from there, but save that for later. This is just 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of pepper, and 1 tablespoon of dry mustard. Bet you thought I was going to say garlic, didn't you? Not today. Just dry mustard. If you don't have dry mustard in your cabinet or whatever, you don't need to run to the store just for that. You can use regular yellow mustard like you put on your bologna sandwich. That'll work fine. Give her a good healthy squirt in there. and that'll be all right. And then over here, we got some bacon and salt pork. I'm gonna save that salt pork aside. It's just regular old bacon. We pre-cooked it a little bit to get some of the grease out of it, but I don't cook it all the way. So you want it to render some of that grease and salty goodness into your beans. We'll put a bunch of this in here, what we think looks good and feels good, or we'll just put all of it. How about that? That in there. Okay. I brought a spoon over. I don't remember where I put it. There it is. I'm just gonna mix this in a little bit. I'm gonna be careful not to dig way down in and disturb that salt pork on the bottom. This is a great recipe. This is just a basic traditional baked bean recipe. This is great on a smoker, if you have a smoker. These are great in whole beans. I'm sure some of you probably just, what's a whole bean? Whole bean is simple. You take, like, I've made them before with my Dutch oven. I have a 6-quart Dutch oven. And you dig a hole in the ground, half again as big as your container, as my Dutch oven per se. Half again as big all the way around top and bottom. Fill that hole up with good hardwood firewood, light it on fire, and you just keep burning until that hole is full of coals. While that's burning in there, you can throw in some big rocks or logging chains or hunks of steel or whatever scrap you got laying around, if you do. Get all that in there, burn down good, so it's just coals in there, good and hot. You're gonna dig most of those coals out. You're gonna leave a good layer on the bottom. Set your pot in there. Put all your rocks and logging chains or whatever else you have, and your coals back in around your pot, over the top, cover it up good with all that. And you're gonna cover that up for 14 hours, 12, 14 hours. Dig them up. Clean your pot off before you open it. Open them up and enjoy. They're really good like that. That's a kind of an old school traditional way to make beans. A lot of work to it, but I don't know, probably just invented back in the day to give the guys something to do, stand around drinking beer while they're watching beans cook in the ground or something. I don't know. So we got all this stuff in there. We just gotta add some water. We have city water here, so it's got a lot of chlorine taste to it. Need much more. So you see, I'm getting the water out of my refrigerator here. The refrigerator has a filter on it, nice clean water. One of these fancy fridges, spits the ice out of the front of it and the water and stuff. I just put my finger in the cup so I can tell when to stop pouring water in. Water hits my finger and I know to stop. That was the floor creaking. That wasn't me creaking. Get my beans. I try not, when I put the water in, I just want it inch or so above the beans. That's pretty good, I think. What I don't want is them drying out too much and I have to keep adding water. Every time you add water, you dilute your ingredients, you dilute the flavor. So I think you're better off to add a little bit extra water now, so there's plenty in there for them to cook. And then when they're done, when they're nice and tender to what you like and the flavors where you like, if they're still a little too juicy for you, if you like them thicker, put them back in the oven with the cover off, and that'll take a lot of moisture out of your beans. We got our one good fat piece of salt pork. We'll lay him on top like that. And that's all there is to it. These are going to go in the oven. I cook these at 250 degrees in my oven. Every time I cook beans, it takes a different amount of time, it seems like. Sometimes they're done in 8 hours, sometimes it takes 12. And I'm not sure if that's the bean itself or what. But. So anyway, these are going in, they'll be in all night. We'll catch up with you in the morning and take them out. We're going to check on them on the way, obviously. And if anything major turns up, I'll bring you back. But we're not going to disturb them. We're just going to open the cover and peek at them, make sure they're not too dry. If we do have to add a little water, we will. Otherwise than that, we're just going to leave them alone and let them cook. And when they're done, I'll let you know how long it took. But like I said, it's probably going to vary every time. But we'll get these in the oven, get them cooked off, and we'll see you in the morning. I almost forgot one important step. Get all your ingredients in, get your water in, get it mixed up good. I always taste the juice a little bit, right off the top. Got a raw onion in there. Ooh. That tastes good. I can tell those are going to be good. When you taste it like that, it's going to be a little strong. It's going to be a little peppery, but that stuff will cook off as you cook along. But anyway, there it is. It's only going to seem like a second to you, but we'll see you in the morning. Morning, everybody. Beans are done cooking, but ain't much happens in Blind Dave's kitchen before a cup of coffee. So we'll get that going. Gotta put a little sugar in my coffee. I know everybody likes watching me do things, so. A little bit of sugar. My cute little sugar dish that my lovely wife made. Can't forget the coffee. Well, that's brewing. I forgot a very important ingredient last night, was brown sugar. You're going to add a half a cup of brown sugar to your beans too. I remembered it after we quit filming, so we just added it in at the beginning. I just want to tell you about that. And I kind of want to dedicate, if you will, this video to my cousin Bonnie and my cousin Terry. They both asked me to make these beans. They both love my baked beans, so I agreed that I would do that. Especially considering Terry bought the beans for me and gave them to me for Christmas as a joke. And my mom bought us a bulk package of red hot dogs. I love red hot dogs. I know the red dye is no good for you, but they still taste good. She bought us a bulk package of that for Christmas as a joke, but Karen and I immediately ate those as soon as we got home. Because we love hot dogs. So.
And we can't get red hot dogs in Tennessee.
We can't get good red hot dogs. We haven't found any yet. So, get ahead of myself here. myself over here. My beans. All right, a little sip of this coffee. Way to start the day. Before we get going, I wanted to show you something neat I got. So here is a talking book player. Comes through the Library of Congress and comes with these little discs, I guess, cassettes. This one right here has 8 books on it. Slides in like that.
8 books.
8.
American Assassin, a thriller.
Current position.
Chapter 1.
Time remaining 11 hours.
Midway through reading the report, he suspected what she
Pretty
was up
neat,
to.
huh?
When he finished,
Reads me the
he
book.
slowly closed the 2-inch thick biography.
That's pretty neat stuff. I just thought I'd show you that real quick. Pretty interesting. Let's take a look at these beans. We just took them out of the oven not too long ago. They've been sitting a few minutes, but overall this took right about 11 hours to cook. They were in the oven all night on like 200. Got up a couple times during the night to check them, and what I mean by that is I gave Karen the elbow, and when she rolled over I said, "Oh, are you awake? Well, could you go check the beans, please?"
And I elbowed him back.
Let's take a look. They smell good. You can smell the molasses in there and the syrup. How do they look? Try not to make too much of a mess. They look good. Boy, they smell good. All right, another important step to making my homemade baked beans is now we gotta let them sit. We're gonna let them sit for the day, and we'll have these for supper tonight. But before we have beans, I'm gonna show you how I make biscuits. Really simple, easy way to make biscuits. And probably throw together a ham steak, considering we can't get good hot dogs down here, and we ate all ours. But anyway, we'll see you in a little while. Welcome back, everybody. I told you this morning that I was going to show you how to make some really easy biscuits, easy way to make them, right here. Open the can up, biscuits are already made. Pretty simple and easy. I know, everybody's mother or grandmother or whoever makes the best biscuits. And I'm not knocking homemade biscuits. I love some homemade biscuits. But to get all that mess out, all that flour and whatever else you use to make biscuits, to make a big mess out of everything, for a few biscuits, this is a pretty easy way to do it. And these are so good. Pretty easy. I mean, if a blind guy can do it, you guys can do it, right? Rest of the way, rest of these on here. These are also real good when you're deep frying. If you got that oil going, throw a few of these right in your oil and they come out like a raised donut. Throw a little brown sugar on them, or it's that floury sugar they use at the fair. Confection sugar, that's real good on bags that the cake guy uses. But you can stab that in there and squirt a little jelly in there after they're cooked. Really good. Anyway, there's that. Simple, easy biscuits. No mess, no fuss. Dry these in the oven, and when they come out, we'll eat. See you in a little bit. Well, here it is, everybody. Pretty easy, pretty simple. This right here was a Saturday night staple in my house growing up. Almost every Saturday night was beans and hot dogs, or beans and something, you know. Like I mentioned before, I listen to a lot of YouTubers, and a lot of them call beans a side dish, and I disagree. Beans are the main dish, and stuff goes around the sides of it. Let's check this out. Let's look at the beans here first. I wanted to show you if I can get a bean here. These have been cooling a little bit. Usually I don't play in my food with my fingers, but now these beans, I soaked them for 24 hours. Some people like to parboil their beans, but I didn't. I don't. I just soak them and then cook them slow. And I mentioned that these beans, you know, they get tender, but they're still firm. See, they're a little firm, but they're tender also. You know, so they don't turn into mush or you know, they're not too hard. But let's take a bite and see how they are. I must say, this right here is probably the best batch of beans I've made. I've made a lot of batches of beans. These are probably the best. Sorry, Terry. Sorry you can't have any, but we got our beans. We got our easy to make, simple biscuits. They smell great. And just a simple ham steak. Easy as that. Hope you all enjoyed. And remember, you didn't get it all over yourself. You didn't do a good job. See you next time.